Believe in the power of your actions, for every small act of patriotism can make a very big difference. An amazing day to you and welcome to The Patriot. My name is Kemi Ashekun. My loved ones call me Hajia Kem. And you know that on The Patriot, we inspire patriotism in individuals, one guest at a time. Today on The Patriots, we have in the house a man who has dedicated himself to helping others in various capacities. As a matter of fact, if I mention his birth-given name, you may not know him. But if I mention his moniker, he's as popular as the 1,000 naira notes. You're wondering who I'm speaking about? Well, Suraj Oyewale is a chartered accountant and a chartered tax practitioner with over a decade and a half experience on the field. However, the more popular aspect of this gentleman is his alter ego, known as Sir JARUS. And today on The Patriot, I bring to you Sir JARUS, a man of many parts, entrepreneur, accountant, chartered tax practitioner, coach, a football. You see, I almost forgot, footballer. A very good day to you, Sir JARUS.
Thank you, madam. Good afternoon. How are you, ma?
Very fine, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
It's good to be here with you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be your guest this afternoon.
Now, you started with footballer. Was that your childhood dream?
Okay, my journey to liking and playing football started and quite recently because when I was much younger, in my secondary school days, in primary school, secondary school, there were two types of people that normally got to play football a lot in secondary school.
Okay.
The guy that could afford to bring the ball, to buy the ball.
Okay.
For the students that could afford to buy the ball.
Yeah.
Or the student that if you didn't put him in, he would beat everybody. The powerful student.
So which one were you?
I was neither. I was neither. So I didn't have the opportunity to play a lot of football then because I wasn't the guy that could play the ball.
Okay.
I wasn't the best of footballer.
Okay.
I wasn't the guy that could afford to buy ball for the team, and I wasn't a strong student that if they didn't put me in, I would scatter the whole thing. So I never got the opportunity to play a lot of football. When I grew much older, and I had maybe more opportunity to play ball at my leisure time, sponsor teams. I think so that was why I decided to just let me play all the football I've missed when I was.
How many goals did you score last year?
Oh, last year I scored 72, only 72.
You're sure? You're sure? Are you sure we shouldn't draft you into the national team?
I mean, I'm happy to support. I'm happy to help Nigeria national team.
But that's just one aspect of you. There is the Sir JARUS that, became very popular online back in the early 2000s on one of the forums, that many Nigerians used to find themselves. That Sir JARUS was popularly known for his takes on national issues, for his takes in politics, for his take, in economical issues. How did that develop? Because you were very vocal at that time, you'd agree.
I'm still vocal anyway. I think it's. I had early exposure to newspapers when I was young. Most of my classmates in primary school who are still online today will testify to the fact that when I was much younger in primary school, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, I was always the best student in current affairs in school. Sometimes scoring 100 over 100. So I grew up in a family. I grew up with the patriarch of a family, an old man who was the first Republic politician, even pre-independent politician, and he liked politics a lot. Was always I grew up around him, learning, listening to radio, all the elections of the early 1990s, 1991 elections, 1993 elections, and so I had early exposure to such. I grew up in an environment where politics was highly not participatory politics, but conversational politics. So we discuss politics I grew up in that environment, and also I just had this burning desire to always be current about things. So when I was growing up in primary school, when that time I was coming from school to home, I would pick the near any piece of newspaper I saw on the ground, I would pick it and read it. If I bought a car and I saw a piece of news, I would read it. So this was my early exposure. So what
about Suya?
Whether Suya, whether Akara, anyway. So we used to call it theory then. Anyway.
Okay.
So that was my earliest exposure to current affairs and at such young age. So when I got to the secondary school, it continued. And when I got to university as well, I didn't have the liver and quote to participate, but I like to discuss it. I like to talk about it. I started writing articles for newspapers when I was in 211 universities. That got me some kind of fame. So when internet became a thing, became liberalized and all of us had access to the internet by the mid-2000s, then the whole thing moved to the internet where I began to contribute to, to national issues, politics.
Okay, speaking of, right, over the years, you have been one of those that have assisted a lot of people for practically almost for free. You've done it, from, let's say, the altruistic part of your heart. Yeah. You have gone out there, people want to get into companies that they're afraid of. Yeah. You've been able to assist them to get into it. Yeah. While many Nigerians sit down to say, oh, you must know somebody, you assure them that they should at least give it something. And they may not know anybody, but they may get through. So there is this thing about a concept in Nigeria that people just sit back somewhere and just assume to themselves that unless they know somebody, they cannot make it in Nigeria. But here you are. You have made it. You are not from a poor background, I know that. And neither are you from mightily rich background. But somehow you've been able to increase what you've been given. Yeah. I'd like you to speak to the average Nigerian youth who's watching right now, and the person is saying to themselves, I can't make it in Nigeria because I know nobody, and my father is a nobody. What would you say to that young person?
First and foremost, I hardly see people that have this kind of accurate, description of me, because what you just said is, quite perfect. So,
you're shocked?
I was shocked that
I've been following you from that forum.
Wow, that's good.
I've killed like three or four of my profiles on that forum. So I know you very well.
Yeah, well, that's really good. That's really good because So yes, I won't say I'm from the poorest of families. I came from a family that we had a quite supportive. Alhaji Razak Oyewale. Who was the first graduate in our family. He graduated from like 1975, and I was blessed. And he decided to, make sure that every other person in the family, as much as possible, got the right education. And so Alhaji Razak Oyewale, who is, I'll call my father. So he made sure that we got the best of education as much as we could. He raised more than 30 children. About half of that are biological. That's not biological, and it was like the pillar of the family, as much as he could. So I grew up seeing this kind of environment where one man showed that the responsibility of the whole family, and I felt like when I had the opportunity to give back, I have to give back. I have to, do this. So that's one of the things I saw, that influenced my, as much as possible, trying to support people within my means, and that's one part of it. The other part of it is that I also had people when I was when I was in university, secondary school university, I had people around me that supported me in the likes of, I have a friend that I used to talk about a lot, Michael Taiwo. He's also very popular on social media, Twitter.
Yeah, Dr. Michael Taiwo.
Dr. Michael Taiwo,
hydrogen expert.
Exactly, we're together in primary school, secondary school, and university, and he was far more brilliant than I was. Always pushing me, trying to give me all the information I needed to succeed. And all of that. So I felt like this kind of guy was doing this. They also had my brother, Akim Oyewale, MD of Mapu Capital now. He was a standing for many years. He left as a GM. So I had those kind of people around me, supplying me virtually everything I needed on information in particular, and even finances for Akim. So I felt like, so when I had the opportunity, when I graduated, I had the opportunity, when internet became liberal, when all of us had the opportunity to sell all of these things out, I feel like most people did not have this kind of opportunity I had. Information is very, very important. A lot of people, I see almost on daily basis, a lot of people, raw brilliant, but what is just about that information to move them from one stage to the other. I felt like I wanted to make myself, the bearer of that information. So at every slight opportunity I have, I'm always trying to, share this information. It doesn't stop my own success. It doesn't stop me. And that's one of the things. Everywhere I go to, I see people that say, JARUS, the information you shared on Ireland 2007 when I was in university, the information you shared when I was serving, I came across an interview tips, there is virtually everywhere I go today, I don't see this kind of feedback, and that pushes me to keep doing it because, you know, it doesn't cost them anything. It doesn't cost anybody anything.
You said something. You said, it doesn't stop my own. And I think that that is an aspect that many human beings do not realize. At what point did you get to that understanding, that rich understanding of the fact that your ability to help others does not necessarily destroy yours? Because you know that there is a saying that our people have. You understand? Even though in the same culture we have Ojo Orunteyefu.
Exactly.
How did you get to that point where you got to that understanding that I could be liberal with the information I have and it will not necessarily stop mine?
Okay, first and foremost, I mean that's probably just mentioned that I mean the sky is enough for birds to fly without
hitting each other.
I mean that's enough for me. But beyond that, I also see the practical angle too. I see people that gave me all the information I needed to do well. It didn't distract, it didn't disturb them from, it didn't distract away from their own
greatness.
Michael Taiwo today is doing better than I am. Many people don't know he's doing better than I am. He supported me primary school, secondary school, university when we graduated. It didn't stop me from being successful. My brother Hakim Oyewale, he supported me through school. When I graduated, it didn't stop him from being, from being the big man that he is now. So I believe that in fact, some people there are some people that I've shared information with, that have supported, that are even bigger than me today. I mean, I have people today that work in. Stephen Akinwale, a young man that contacted me in 2012 when he just graduated from university and was talking about how can life I was trying to guide him on life after university. He sent me an email. I still have that email. He sent me today. The young man works at the World Bank headquarters in New York, in I think Washington D.C. IFC headquarters. A big boy today. So I mean, it doesn't stop my own. So I don't believe. So you asked whether at what point I got to understand. The religion also plays a part in that too. I mean, I'm a Muslim. I try as much as possible. I'm not a perfect Muslim. I have my own shortcomings as well. But,
as we all do.
As we all do. But I don't think. I mean, it's also one of these things we realize. I realized early in my life that no matter how. Supporting people does not stop your whole,
That's amazing.
It even gives you more blessings.
More blessings. Okay, I think you need to repeat that so that more people can understand that, because it's a major problem in Nigeria today. People believing that they must destroy one person for them to rise. It increases their blessings if they look at it properly. However, let's go to Sir JARUS. We've been talking to Suraj Oyewale. Now we want to go to Sir JARUS. How did the name come about?
Okay, interestingly, I've had a number of monikers and nicknames right from when I was in school. When I was in secondary school, my colleagues, my mates used to call me Suraj Suri.
Okay.
Sometimes they call me my siblings. Some of my siblings called me Zurich, all of that. When I joined that website, that forum you're talking about, when I joined it in July 27, 2007.
You even remember the dates?
I mean, I'm quite good at
Can you imagine?
All those things I inherited from that Patriot family I talked about. Okay. It was very, very good at dates. It's one of those things I inherited from him. So I joined that forum on July 27, 2007. I was serving Sokoto State at that time. I was just from a cyber cafe when I was bored. I needed to just keep myself busy with some things. So I used the name Ife Eco Economics. That was because I just finished from UAU a year before that. I came from economics department, and I was 2006, and I was like, I was failing on top of the world. I'm not a graduate of Ife and all of those.
And not just a graduate, you finished with the first class.
So I was happy and all of that. So I used that one as I was carrying it on my head. I used it as my moniker on that website. So when I realized that it was too descriptive of who I was, I now sent an email to the owner of that website, who happened to be someone that knew me from that website too, that I wanted my name to change to Jarus or Zurich. Jarus means my name Suraj. My name Suraj, just spell it backward, okay? Instead of S-U-R-A-J, I just spelled it backward. Jarus or Zurich. I gave him two options and he chose Jarus for me. So in December 2008, he changed my name on that platform to Jarus. And everything I was doing under that platform, I was doing it under that name of Jarus. So it became popular. And when I decided to open my own website 5 years later, 2013, Jarus Hub, I decided to just, it became a brand and I liked it and people knew me for it and everything I stood for. And I tried as much as possible to just keep the brand.
What's Jarus Hub about?
So Jarus Hub is my career website. It's where all the things you talked about that, I support people in terms of career information, education information, all of those things. I used JARUS because I realized that I needed my own platform because the platform we were using at that time wasn't, it didn't belong to me, and I was having some recurring issues with the owner of that website at that time too. So I decided to create my own platform, and I used it to disseminate information for.
Is it still working?
Oh, it's still working. I mean,
JARUS Hub?
Yeah, it's
okay.
my oldest platform. I had 12 years now.
Oh, wow.
Working, yeah.
Speaking of JARUS Hub, you keep training people, but then one of the things I have followed or I've studied about you is that you're big on partnerships. Yes. You're very big on partnerships. Almost all the companies you have a partner on this side, have a partner on that side. Maybe not the same partner cutting across, but you have different partners. Yeah. What's the value of partnership in business?
Partnership is it's extremely important in business. You can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. You need brands to collaborate with you. You need other people, to join you. You can't have all the resources, especially for, businesses or ventures, whether social ventures, whether purely, economic ventures. You need that kind of, partners. You can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. Anytime I wanted to organize conference, for example, I partnered with people. When I wanted even something as smart Twitter space, I partnered with people. My travels company, I got Poja, one of the most respected photojournalists we have here.
Okay, so hold on. You are now going into your different, there are many parts of you, many business parts of you. We've looked at JARUS Home, where you train. Let's look at JARUS Homes. When was it born?
JARUS Home was registered in July 2022.
What was the idea behind it? Why did you decide to go into building homes for people?
Let me start. It's a quite long story. So I enjoy building houses because I grew up in an environment where one of the metrics of success is house ownership. Okay, and there's even a saying in our community where they will tell you that if you are Kataufa, you can call it or something like that. If you have the ability to build a house and you're not building a house, your relationship is questionable. Your being from over is questionable.
Okay.
So I grew up, and my family too. That's one of. In fact, right from the time I started working, my parents started ringing to my head that build there. So I started building house. I bought my first land in 2009. Barely 1 year after I started working in Kwara State. I spent 4 years to build the house, because I was earning little money. I spent 4 years to build. I finished the house in 2013, and I built another one in Lagos I started in 2014. I finished in 2015, and I started building. I built another one in Washington State for my mom's family. I bought another one in Offa. I got another one in Lagos. So by the time I was between 2009 and 2022, I had I had 5 houses.
Okay.
Kwara State, Ocean State, and Lagos State, where I stay. And I felt like I've done this thing, I've done a lot of these things. Why can't you start doing it for people? So why can't you do that for people? There are some people you have the passion to. You can monitor projects, you can supervise, you can mobilize for us to do all of these things. But there are some people like you that are doing work but they don't have that kind of
time, temperament.
Is that to do it? Why not do it for people? So I've been losing that ambition. Thankfully, in 2000, I was doing the work from home shortly after the COVID, even 2022, when things were just easing up. One of my tenants who was still living with me, it was a tenant in my Lagos house, a young couple who was working in the real estate in marketing space. And we're just having discussion on the bench in front of the house that afternoon, and he was telling me about, real estate. We didn't need a whole lot of billions to start real estate and all of those. I just felt like he gave me some tips, some information. If I knew it, I said, okay, no wala, I can try this thing. After I had been thinking about it before, okay, so I bought the land just behind my house, which had somebody had talked to me about it before. I got that land and I built a 4-unit terrace there, and that was the beginning. And I registered a company to do that. That was 2022. Started in 2020, finished I was started marketing it online. Within 2 months, people had bought all the 4 units. Before you even finished foundation, people had bought all the 4 units. We finished it, we moved to the next project, and that was how, and I was working I left oil and gas industry in 2022. I moved to, around that time I started JARUS Homes too. I moved to another company called PwC, the consulting firm, okay? And in that company, I was working for 1 year. But when my side also, this real estate business I was in, I was blowing, I decided to just leave my, my 9 to 5 and face it fully because I didn't want to miss the opportunity to go to the next phase.
So
that was
in
how
the
we
last,
started expanding.
how in the last 2022, this is 2025.
Yeah, just less than 3 years. It will be 2.5 years. Yeah.
In the last 2.5 years, how many homes has JARUS completed?
We've completed 5.
5 like estates.
Fully completed. Mini estates.
Mini estates. Okay.
5.
With how many units of houses?
That's 23 units of houses.
23 units of houses. So 23 families now have a JARUS home.
Yeah, exactly.
But that said, there was the Japa fever.
Yeah.
For somebody who finished with a first class, who was working in an oil and gas company, who had, the funds and all of that.
Yeah.
Why didn't JARUS? Okay, why didn't Suraj Jakpa? Because I know JARUS will not.
Well, I mean, I wasn't. I'm a quite traditional person. I'm quite attached to my background, to my culture, to my family. For people, I can hardly go 2 days without talking about Ofa. Even though I go there only 2 times in a year, or 3 times sometimes. So I have this cultural attachment to my roots, and I don't think I can live too far from there. And also, the people I see, the successful people I see in my family, none of them traveled. None of them, decided to relocate abroad.
Okay. So let's move on from JARUS Homes. Let's move to JARUS Travels.
I mean, yeah.
You practically have JARUS everywhere we turn. Let's move to JARUS Travels. How did that idea come up?
Okay, another interesting development, another interesting background. So because I travel a lot, I enjoy traveling. I enjoy traveling a lot.
And you're an Arsenal fan?
I'm an Arsenal fan. I mean, I try to watch Arsenal match, at least one Arsenal match in the life in stadium once in the season.
Okay.
The past few years. So I enjoy traveling a lot, especially now that I have more time because I run my business. I can run from anywhere. I don't need to be in the office. I can run it from anywhere. So I needed somebody to help me to do, my travel runs, like, booking flight for me, booking hotel for me, doing the research of the countries and the visa requirements. I don't have time for all of those things. So I need someone to be doing all of those things for me, for my own personal travel purposes. So I tweeted something around mid last year, around just mid 2022, I think, or sometime I think early 2023.
It was 2023. I think. If I remember
correctly. Very well. I'm happy that you know a lot.
I've been following you from Naira Land.
That's good. That's really good. So I made that tweet. That I needed a personal travel consultant that will help me to do all my travel planning. So somebody recommended a sister to me.
Okay.
Somebody can said to me that, okay, she does all of that, Okay, I tried. So she sent me a DM on Twitter. I read that DM, immediately I concluded, no, this one is too good. Like, the way she couched her message, I saw, no, this one
knows the job.
Knows the job. So I sent my number, I asked her to send her number or something, then we had a call. During that call, I realized that what I even knew about her from the message I saw was even the child's place, what she knew. So from interviewing her, I saw value, I saw gem, I saw that this is somebody of value. And I said something to her. They expanded her role from being personal travel consultant to be my personal executive assistant to help me with managing.
Is she the one that had to leave?
Yes, she had to leave, unfortunately. Very, very smart. Very, very smart girl. Shukra. Okay. Very smart girl from Ilorin. So
you had to mention she's from Ilorin.
We don't miss opportunity.
Are you serious?
About where we come from. So, so after that, from that interview, I told her something during that interview that about this thing you are talking about travels. Not many people know them.
Right.
But I would make you my executive assistant for all my, personal, programs, help me to plan my background. But in 6 months' time, if I see now what you are saying is story, right? If you do this thing for me on practical level and I see how well you perform on it, I'm going to register a company, travels company, for you, and you're going to be the manager of that company.
But now that she's left,
I mean, the company will have to continue. So that 6 months I use it to, she ran my personal travel itinerary and planning and everything for me for 6 months. By January 2024, I registered the company as promised, and I made her the manager. And she did a good job, she made a good job of running the company for the 6 months, But fortunately for her, because I can't stop it.
You can't hold.
I can't hold somebody. Somebody, if I'm paying you an amount and somebody wants to triple it for you, and I don't have the capacity to pay you three times that amount, I'm happy for you that somebody wants to support you. If Shell comes for my staff, if she ever comes to my staff, if an NPC comes to my staff, I'll be happy for them because it doesn't, like I said, my own philosophy is that my own success, somebody's success should not be, I don't have, I'm always happy for people when they move on. So when she moved on, I even paid her bonus, like, I'm happy for you that you're moving on. So she moved on and got somebody to replace her, and the person is doing a good job as well.
Speaking of, there is that issue of working. The average Nigerian companies complain about the ability to find the right type of hands. And not just the right type of hands, people who will take the business as a personal duty. We also have the average Nigerian thinking that whether the boss sells or the boss does not sell, I'll get my salary at the end of the month. Where do we find... How do we even encourage people to understand that the success of the company is is your success? How do we get people to have the right type of mindset that helps them to see that the growth of wherever it is that is giving them their sustenance is as important as their own growth?
Yeah, I agree with that comment about the fact that there is a paucity of, competent and skilled personnel, and I fully agree with that sentiment, and that because there are few organizations that can pay a lot of money tend to get a lot of them. For example, because of our challenge in we're just a small company, Travels is just a small company, an organization that could pay much better than what we could. Snatched our
your dear staff.
Or exactly the same way we could also snatch other people's staff. There's always the hierarchy. You can't compete with share. You can't compete with bigger guys. There's nothing you can want to do about it. But just be happy that they're moving on. So I agree that there is that, but from my own experience, I noticed more that informal recruitment, you tend to get the best people from informal recruitment. Maybe you just poaching. Sometimes all these open adverts, recruitment tends to, see a lot of people that, they don't have the requirement to do it. So sometimes informal system of recruiting, maybe you talk to people, do you have somebody for me, do you have somebody, all of those things, sometimes give you the best thing. Then when they come in, it's also left for you to now do as much as possible to treat them well. And I try as much as possible to do that for my employees. Okay, treat them well, let them see that, it's not about you alone. It's not about, I used to tell my Abuja manager here, for JARUS, for example, he's downstairs, he followed me to this place, and I used to tell him something. If tomorrow you have had experience in building a house from scratch to the beginning, if tomorrow you want to go into your own business, I will definitely support you. If you buy land and say you want to develop your own business, I will support you. You gain the experience. You build two projects for me, and you've had that experience with me. So this kind of thing. So if I could be telling my staff that, I won't fight you. That's why you didn't steal my money, or you didn't cheat me. I don't have any problem with your own good. So if bosses let people see business that way, I think it helps them to put in their best for you. A number of my staff will take bullet for me because of I'm not trying to make matter of something, but because of they know that JARUS, they know the way I treat them. They do try to treat them. They do all of these things. I have my own issues as well. They know, but they know that on a good day, this man will do whatever he could do for us. Okay, so all those kind of things are very important.
Speaking of your Abuja JARUS Homes manager, what is the position of founders courts right now? Okay,
yeah, I remember a year ago or something, I tweeted founders court.
Yes, someone particularly shared that tweet with me. I called that person the boss. I particularly shared that I must ask a question about the founders court. So where's the founders court as we speak?
I want to appreciate the person because sometimes people, one of these things, goodwill is very, very important. When people trust you that, something's coming from you, and even you may have, you think they have forgotten, but they are waiting for you to do that kind of thing. So for that course specifically, yes, because we are very big on due diligence, we have been finding the right land to use for it in Abuja. I want to do it in Abuja. So for that court, my own personal house in Lagos, I want to do something like that in multiple fold, like a mini estate, something like that, like 12, 13 units in that. So I need the appropriate land to be able to do it here. Okay, to do it here. And so I want to call it founders court. I'm the founder of JARUS Home, and a house that looks like my own personal house. I want to do multiple of it and call it founders court. Okay, owned by JARUS Home. So the current status is that we are still looking for the best land we can use for it. It has to be in a quite eyebrow area. We are looking at Katampe extension. We've not gotten the right land, but we are looking at other options too. Jai, but we've not gotten the right land. So that is the status. If you are watching us today, the status is that we are still looking for the right land to use for that project. We are doing it. So,
and if you are watching us and you have the right
money.
land too, you can put
Yeah,
it forward, Abby.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, now let's go to education. You finished with the first class from Obawa University,
Yes,
OAU. Sometimes people say school is a scam.
Yeah.
We have seen people who have come out with grades they cannot defend.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, people think that Nigeria's problem has to do with lack of jobs. But people don't even know that Nigeria's problems has more to do with lack of the right type of hands to fill the jobs, right?
Yeah.
I know you will not say education is a scam, but the kind of education we have in Nigeria today, if you had the opportunity to modify, what would you do?
Okay. I think, yes, like you rightly said, I mean, education is a scam, and I believe so much in that, but I still believe that we have a lot to still do to get our students, our graduates market ready. And when I say market, I mean labor market ready. Sometimes they need that kind of pushing or polishing, and that's what some of us do. With all this information we share online, and all of those things, all the other things you can need to do to supplement your degree to to be able to get the right qualification. What I can do is that all this kind of things some of us do. Okay, in school in the West. Okay, when I say West, in Western countries. Okay, in schools, it's not just about teaching them in classes. They have maybe guidance and counseling units. They have recruitment. They have all of these things that teach people. That right from them in school, things they need to do, information they need to have, on navigating the labor market, the skills they need to have. Here, nobody cares about all of those. We used to have guidance and counseling. Maybe they used to have. I mean, maybe I didn't even witness that as well. But not all those are not functional again. So I believe that, beyond just going to class to learn economics, to learn accounting, to learn chemical engineering, there should also be some departments, some general department that also teach people things that they need beyond just passing exams. Okay,
let's look at China. I'm sure you've seen a couple of videos that have come out of China. Small children actually sewing clothes. Most of the education we have today are not applicable education. I'll give you an example. I was a science student. I did organic chemistry. I did inorganic chemistry. I don't think that as a science student today, I should have someone say that they want to teach me how to create bleach. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. I don't think that they should be teaching me how to make insecticide, to be teaching me how to make antiseptics, That education should be good enough, right? And that way, people will come out already creating jobs. Imagine that in Offa, you had one person who could produce insecticide, antiseptic, and one person who could produce for the entire community. He's feeding. You said supplement your degree, and I had to jot that down, especially because today, from what we have in the job market, we don't have as many hands, as many jobs as many people who need the jobs, right? And so we are at that point in our country where we need to have more job creators than people who want to apply for jobs, right? For you as a person, besides supplementing your degree, how do we make the average person who, probably a secondary school graduate, who has studied organic chemistry and chemistry, to be able to at least produce something that they can sell and at least earn a living? How do we bring our education to what we see that the Chinese do? Little children frying eggs, little children sewing clothes, and what do we need to do so that we don't continue to churn out people who become burdens to the people who have sent them to school with the hope that they start to take care of them?
I mean, I think the problem started from the fact that, stigma. When we were young, people that we used to see that were tailors, that were, fine akara, that we used to see them as the people that were not, that belonged to the lower part of the society, and we didn't need them. We didn't need, they were like, they were people that not well-to-dos. So, and I mean, maybe things are changing now, but quite late for a lot of people. I have my sisters now, some of my cousins, nephews, nieces, who are now learning tailoring. After graduating, after they've graduated, fashion design, after they graduated. Maybe if then, I mean, years ago, we used to see people that were learning Taylor as, people that...
The relics of the society.
Exactly. Now, graduate, everybody are now learning. So, I think it's, if the time you are using to learn it now, maybe if you had learned it, the gap between primary school and secondary school, or, secondary school and university, or even combining it with, secondary school and all of those things, if they had the right to choose between whether they wanted to go to corporate work or going to, going to
the
learn
blue collar jobs,
all the skills they've learned. If they had learned all of those things much earlier in their life, now they are being forced back to it because of lack of jobs. Okay, so I think the solution to that is to recognize by, all these things people see, we talk about as we see as in the relics, people that do them are not people that, that people that we tend to stigmatize. Okay, I think that's one of the ways we can get to it. Okay, so that it's not when it is too late. They now start to learn it. Okay, as you have seen people now learning fashion designing after being graduates, learn shoemaking after being graduate, and all those things. So, if at earlier stages in our lives, lives of our children, my daughter now, she now goes to cooking class. She goes to cooking class now, and all of those things. Despite the fact she attends, quite big secondary school. So, I think if more people do this kind of things, then
give them options.
Give them options, exactly.
You're one of those patriots who doesn't plan to live outside Nigeria, even though you love to travel.
Yeah.
What is the one thing, or what are the few things that, if you had a magic wand, if there was something you could do, if there was something that you could do, maybe like this? For Nigeria, to make Nigeria more conducive for a person like you who intends to live in Nigeria, what would it be?
I think fixing power would go a lot. Fixing power will go a lot because I know it's not cheap. I'm not lying. It's not cheap to do that, but our governments, they have the resources to do it. They would want to do it. So fixing power will go a lot because a lot of businesses rely so heavily on it. SMEs.
But in the last few years, it has improved, hasn't it?
Maybe to people that could afford it, people that could afford it.
But you said, it's not cheap, isn't it?
Unfortunately, it's not cheap. Unfortunately, it's not cheap. It's not cheap.
So we're going to have to choose something.
Because even in the advanced countries that we talk about, that they apply, it doesn't come cheap.
Even in Ghana.
It doesn't come cheap. I know.
So you would agree with me? It has improved in the last few years, hasn't it?
Fully, I agree. I was talking about tweeting that in my house in Abuja. I've been in Abuja for 1 week now. In my house in Abuja, maybe.
It blinks, and we've not had that since in a very long time. In a very long time. So power will be number one for you.
Power will be number one for me.
What else?
And I think our orientation too. Our social orientation too also would do a lot. Unfortunately, this is not. This belongs more to us too, because not just the leadership. Because I believe leadership also they need to send a strong message, because people watch you. When people see you doing things, they tend to want to, they want to sacrifice their own to...
What aspect of our orientation exactly?
Doing the right thing. Most people in this country would, when nobody's looking, would not want to do the right thing. Something as simple as just crossing the road, or as, dropping debts, or as, everybody tries to cheat everybody.
Everybody trying to cheat everybody.
And that's, you are dealing with 7-8 people, maybe 5 out of them are trying to find a way to cheat you.
If you had your way, how would you fix that?
I think it's a combination of carrot and stick. Carrot in the sense that the government themselves need to be seen as doing their part of the social contract, to make sure that they are not they are making the sacrifice needed. Then stick, given the fact that there's sanctions. So I let one of my staff go. He had a decision for me recently because the first time I asked somebody to go, just because the person did not do, was negligent of a major action he was meant to take, and the company lost some millions because of that inaction. So not because the person was fraudulent or anything, but that's the consequences. So that's the consistency, because other people will not take it for granted. And all those. So that's what I mean by sanctions.
Sanctions. So consequences, like what we say on the Patriot. Punishment is not so that you try the law. Punishment is so that you do not try it. Right? That's what you're saying. How important is family to you?
Extremely important, because I was raised in a family that everybody was everybody's child.
Was he polygamous? Was your father polygamous?
Yeah, sure, he was.
Okay.
Polygamous.
So are you polygamous?
I am.
Are we looking at you completing your quota of 4?
I mean, 2. My
Two.
wife are watching me on TV.
You don't know whether you want to add another one.
Let me say 2.
2.
It's 2
for now.
I mean, I'm stopping at 2.
You're stopping at 2. You sure about that?
I'm stopping at 2. I'm stopping
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
So tell us about how important family is.
I mean, family is quite important to me because I grew up in a family where everybody was everybody's child. You know, quite extended family in Ofa. We had a family, were well known, and we had virtually all the fathers had, you know, multiple wives.
Okay.
Some 2, some 3, some 4, and we grew up without, you know, anybody knowing who was anybody's father. You know, all of us, we used to call everybody daddy. We used to call daddy Long, daddy Abuja, daddy Badan. Like you called your uncles.
Daddy Eko.
Exactly, you call uncles daddy. Your nephews, your cousins. Sometimes they even get angry at you if you start calling them, you know, this English, uncle, I mean, this is as a father. Everybody's father. So I grew up in that kind of setting, and I feel like, I mean, that wasn't the reason I went polygamous. I mean, that wasn't just the reason because even though I grew up in a polygamous environment and my, you know, happy home, happy family, everybody lived happily and all of that, but that wasn't the reason. I mean, I had one personal reason why I did, which, you know, but I saw that kind of setting and we didn't have much problem. We had people supporting each other. We had people, you know, we don't even know who, I mean, you know, who's mother. So I feel like we can live harmoniously even on that polygamous setting. So I'm very big on family.
I didn't want to come to this, but I will have to come to this. Recently, you had an issue, a domestic issue. Yeah. You know that ballooned into a lot of issues, and you had to be off Twitter for a month or thereabout. Yeah. Some people say you have an anger problem. Do you?
I think I do, but I would not lie. I think I do because you know, I'm working on it. But
how do you manage that?
I mean, I try as much as possible. I only get 99% of the time. I'm always laughing, joking. You know, and everybody knows that. And people around me knows that. You know, I'm always laughing, joking, all of that. You know, playing. I'm very, very playful. You see me play for all of the time, but like there's a back that says that I came marrying key or my physical kind of something. I mean, no matter how, you know, perfect you try to be, the head will still, you know, bend somewhere. So, but it's not something that, you know, easily get triggered and all of that. And as much as possible, I try to, you know, get advice from people.
And during that crisis, you had quite a number of your friends show up as frenemies.
Yes.
How much did that affect you?
I mean, I got to understand that in life you don't rely on people, you rely on God, and you know, there are people that, you know, they I supported, you know, during that trying period, they decided to just, you know, use my own trial to, you know, just come at me.
How did that make you feel?
It didn't stop me from trying my best to support people. It's not going to stop me because I'm not doing it for human beings. I'm doing it for God.
So the average Nigerian who's watching right now, I'd like you to say something to them.
For me, whatever you do to people in life, try as much as possible to do to be good to all, and whatever you do, you know, don't expect any form of reciprocation to people, so that you won't be disappointed when people disappoint you. Okay, try as much as possible to see that it's between you and God. And that's all.
I think that's a good place to drop the anchor on the Patriots today. You've heard from him. I brought 2 people into the studio, although only one person has been speaking. I brought Suraj Oyewale, a chartered accountant, chartered tax administrator, and a man of many parts. And no, that's Suraj Oyewale I just introduced. But then you also got to hear from JARUS. They call him Sir JARUS, and a multi-entrepreneur, a man who is committed and dedicated to helping other people. Our goal on the Patriot is to inspire patriotism, one guest at a time. If you cannot be everything to everyone, at least be one thing to someone. Make a difference in their lives. Be that Nigerian that makes a difference in the life of another Nigerian. And that way, we can build a Nigeria that is worthy to bequeath to our children and those yet unborn. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much, again. Thank you very much.
My name is Oluwakemi Ashekun, and my loved ones call me Haji Akemkem. I'll catch you again some other time. Have a great day.